Welcome to the In Love with PMDD podcast. I am your host, Dr. Rose, your PMDD relationship psychotraumatologist, and I help you stop the monthly PMDD breakups. PMDD is premenstrual dysphoric disorder. It is in approximately 1 in 5 women, and it makes you want to break up with your partner approximately 1 to 2 weeks before your period every single month. So as someone who has suffered with PMDD for over 18 years, I dedicated my doctorate practice to helping partners navigate those monthly PMDD breakups with everything from attachment styles, triggers, sensitivity to noise, sensitivity to touch, all of the things that you really struggle with when you're in PMDD. And I also dedicated my dissertation to a phenomenological study of the relationship experiences of partners of individuals who suffer with premenstrual dysphoric disorder. So I'm not just here to help the sufferer, the one who is suffering with PMDD. I am here for the partners as well. So if you need those private sessions, make sure you go to inlovewithpmdd.com and get those tools. So let's get into this week's PMDD trauma transformational tools that is going to help you stop the monthly breakups and stop the suffering and stress in your PMDD relationship. Let's get into it. Today, we are going to be talking about what to do if you have fallen out of love with your PMDD partner. And what I want to first let you know is that sometimes this can happen subconsciously. We don't think that we're not in love with our PMDD partner. We think that we are. We're like, I'm still in it. I'm still here. But sometimes we don't recognize that we're treating our PMDD partner like a roommate. We have like a roommate situation. If you live together, you're just existing together. You're not really connected. And your PMDD partner may be out of love with you. You may be out of love with them. But this is definitely something that is going to create a wall with you working on any issues that you have in the relationship. Because if you don't feel in love with your PMDD partner, then the urge to want to work on the issues and get back connected may not be there. You may have just accepted that this is just the way that our relationship is going to be. And you settle into this new normal. But the thing about it is neither one of you are happy about the way things are. If you're in this situation where you're just living as roommates and you're just talking about logistics, maybe you're just talking about the kids, or you're talking about the bills, or you're talking about what you're going to have for dinner, that's not the goal of a relationship. You never would have decided to be in a relationship if you thought it was only going to be this. You're missing so much of the intimacy, so much of the connectedness, so much of the companionship. And then when PMDD comes around, you're just going into a hole. You know, your PMDD partner may have things that they don't like, but you don't know specifically what they are. And they may be doing things that make you upset, but your partner doesn't know what it is. So you're both living with this internal built up resentment for the other person, and they're consistently doing things to trigger you. But you don't really feel like you have anywhere to go. You're like, well, it's not bad enough for us to break up. Nothing really bad has happened. However, you are in this situation where you're living like roommates. And when PMDD comes, you're not getting the support that you need from your partner because they're not connected to you like that. They're connected to you in a way that a roommate would be, which was, hey, do you have food? Like, are you good? Is there, do these bills need to get taken care of, or who's dropping off the kids? That's how a roommate would act. Someone who is in love with you would be so in tune with your needs that when you went into PMDD and you had all these symptoms going on, they would want to know what they could do to make it easier for you. What can I take off of your plate? Where do you need me to go? What do you need me to do? They would be asking those questions proactively. However, I want you to understand that the reason why they would be asking those questions proactively is because they would be feeling loved. So many times we're demanding that our partners give us more attention, more affection, more support during PMDD, but they don't feel loved. Therefore, they don't feel compelled to do anything for you except for the basic things. And that's where this roommate scenario has come in line. And it's like, it feels weird to have to ask for more because you're like, they know that I need this during PMDD, or they know that I need that. But on the other hand, they're probably thinking the same thing. I know so many times my PMDD partner felt the exact same way. He was, coming home and I was wanting to isolate and I was wanting him to give me space, and everything that I was wanting was the exact opposite of what he wanted. He wanted more attention, more affection. So what happened was we would spend days and days and days walking around the house just saying good morning, good afternoon, good night. What are we going to have for dinner? And there was no love, no affection, no connectedness. You actually wish the person wasn't there. When it's a situation like that and you're living as roommates, you almost don't want to be around them because it's just a reminder of how crappy your relationship is. So it's like, I wish that they would go out, with their friends, or I wish that they would stay later at work. You don't even want your PMDD partner around when you're living as roommates because you feel like you can't even be free. You may lock yourself in your room, and just like you have your area of the house, your PMDD partner has their area. I've had plenty of personal clients tell me, their partner stays downstairs and they stay upstairs, and there's this separation, and both of you are internally suffering because neither one of you signed up for that. Neither one of you committed to have a relationship that it's separate, but you're in the same home. And even if you're dating and you're not, married and in the same household, when you're coming over, it's kind of like if there's no connectedness, if you're not feeling connected, if you're going out on a date and you're barely looking at each other, you're just playing on your phone or you're taking pictures, for social media, but you're really not connecting, then what's the point? That's when you start to think about the monthly breakups because you're like, is this going to be my life? Am I going to continue in this cycle of being in this relationship where I'm not getting fulfilled emotionally? Like I'm doing all the things that people in relationships would do, but there's no feeling behind it. There's no depth behind it. You're not growing together. You're kind of just like waiting for the ticking bomb. Like, I know this relationship is going to end. It's not going to make it, but I'm just going to wait it out because maybe logistically it makes sense for you. Financially, it makes sense for you. If you have kids in the home, you're like, well, maybe it makes sense. It doesn't make sense to uproot them if we can coexist in this, lifetime of just passing each other by. But the need for connection is always going to be there, especially when you get in your follicular days. So if you find yourself where you're coming out of PMDD and you're in your follicular days and you're still not enjoying your PMDD partner, that means you've fallen out of love with them. Because even when you're in a position where the PMDD symptoms have gone away and you would feel loving, that's not there. And a lot of time it's because of the damage that's been done when you're in PMDD that you're no longer connecting in that way. And I know that's happened to me so many times where there's been so many damaging things that were said and done while I was in PMDD that by the time I got out and I was in my good days where I was feeling good, I was only feeling good about myself. I wasn't feeling good about my partner because I was still remembering the things that they had said, and I knew that I needed to forgive them and move on. But because I wasn't feeling in love with them, that was the barrier, because it was like, what's the point? There was this bitterness and resentment. It's like, what's the point of, reaching out to them and having a conversation? Or then you start to think about, why am I always the one that has to say something? Why do I have to bring it up? Like, it's the ego. It's because you're so separate that you're not thinking about the relationship as a whole, meaning what is good for the both of you together. You're kind of just thinking about yourself. You're like, well, they should be the one to come to me. They're the ones that did this, or they're the ones that said this. They need to apologize to me. And you're treating your PMDD partner as if you're not in a relationship with them. Like, it's just completely separate and they owe you something. So when you know that your PMDD partner owes you an apology for things that they've said and done and they've not given it to you, then that keeps the barrier up of being in love again, because you start to feel like you need to protect yourself because they've done something that's genuinely hurt you. And I want to tell you, this cannot last. The shelf life for being in this kind of relationship is not that long. It's only a matter of time. If you do not get help for this roommate situation that you're in with your PMDD partner, one or two things is going to happen. They're going to burn out. You're going to burn out. Someone's going to go outside of the relationship, or someone's just going to leave and say, I can't take this anymore. And then when they say that they can't take it anymore, that's when you might be ready to be like, okay, well, let's work on this because someone's finally brought it up. But I've had so many private clients where they've waited till their partner got to that point, and then they're like, okay, let's work on this. And the PMDD partner is not willing to work on it anymore. This is the level of urgency that you need to have when you know that this is, you're listening to this and you're like, yeah, that's pretty much us. That's me and my PMDD partner. And you're not doing anything about it. You're leaving yourself susceptible to have that kind of breakup that doesn't get back together because you're not listening to the signs. If you know that you and your PMDD partner are living like roommates or operating like roommates or just friends, buddy, and you're not proactively doing anything about it, you're leaving the door open for a breakup. And I know that that's not what you want. I know ultimately what you want is to go back to being in that place where you feel connected, you feel supported, but sometimes you really think that it's too far gone. There's been too much damage done. This is our new normal. This is just what the relationship looks like. And I'm here to tell you, I have seen the 180-degree turns. I've seen you go from, you're barely talking to being you're fully back connected again. And it doesn't take that long. It's a matter of starting the sessions with me and putting the things in place when you're in PMDD and when you're not in PMDD. It's a very strategic process. It's not something that you can just do on your own, is what I'm trying to say. So if you're trying to do things and you're getting frustrated and you're saying, well, I tried to talk to them and it didn't work. Okay, well, if something doesn't work, then do something different. If you know that you've tried on your own to have the conversations, to bring up the issues, and every single time that you do, they get defensive, they start blaming you for things that you've done, and the next thing you know, you're even more upset with them, and then PMDD comes and you're irritated and you have all these symptoms and they're just not understanding, you're not getting the support. And when you're not getting the support from your PMDD partner while you're in PMDD, it's like a bigger slap in the face, because it's like, I have to deal with all of this suffering. My partner knows that I'm suffering and they're still choosing not to help me. And I'm telling you why. They're choosing not to help you because they're not in love with you. Because someone that's in love with you can't not help you. They can't not be there for you. I don't know if you've ever seen, there's this meme on Instagram where it's this couple that are mad at each other and it starts raining. And the other partner takes the umbrella that they had over their head and they put it over top of their partner's head, because even though they were mad at their PMDD partner for something that they had said or done, or mad at their partner for something that they said or done, they still showed that degree of care to make sure that they were taken care of. And that's what it's like when you're in love. That is what it feels like. Because I've had my PMDD partner be upset with me and go get me food. Be upset with me and help my daughter with her homework. Be upset with me because we're still in love. We're just not happy with each other in the moment. But when you're in love, the level of effort is still there because you care so much about the other partner that you don't want them to suffer. Even if you're suffering, even if you know that they've done something wrong, you still intrinsically, you wouldn't feel right about not doing certain things for them. And so if you're at that place in your PMDD relationship where you're becoming okay with not doing things for your PMDD partner, you're in that danger zone, because now you're so disconnected that even if you neglect your PMDD partner, you don't even feel bad about it, because you're like, that's what they deserve. Oh, well, they don't give me any attention. They don't give me any affection. And what I want to say to that, if you're in that place of feeling like you don't really care what your PMDD partner does or says, what are you doing? I know that neither one of you may be coming to each other and asking yourselves this question, but me and my PMDD partner have so many times we've dropped into this zone of being very robotic, until one of us, normally me, is just like, what are we doing? And sometimes just asking that question opens the door for your PMDD partner to realize, okay, they're not happy either. This is ridiculous. Like, what are we doing? What is the purpose of this? And if you have kids and they're seeing this type of interaction, they're feeling the disconnection. And I always say, if you have children, if you're not taking the steps to work on your PMDD relationship, you're showing them the way children work is they go off of what they see more than what you tell them. It starts from when they're little and all the way till they're a teenager. My daughter's 13 right now, and a lot of the things I tell her, if what I tell her doesn't align with my actions, she takes it with a grain of salt. I see it. But I see that when she sees that the two are aligned, then she sees me doing the things the same way that I'm telling her, then she starts to do them. She starts to pick up on them, and I can see that she really, is absorbing it. But if your child is seeing you say certain things like be nice or do this or do that, and then you're not being nice to your partner, and they're feeling like you're just being like robots and there's no like love and affection in the home, then they're going with what they see. They're going with what they feel, because energy doesn't lie. Even if you're doing the loving things and you're not in love and feeling connected, your partner's not connecting to it. So I know so many times, especially when you have the love language of acts of service, and that's the way you show love. A lot of you are like, oh yeah, I'm doing the things for my PMDD partner. They just don't appreciate them. Well, if you're doing those things, you're making their dinner, you're fixing their lunch, you're making sure that they have gas in the car, you're doing the laundry, you're taking care of the kids, but you're not loving them, you're not literally doing it with a feeling of love behind it, then they just see them as acts. So you might as well just not even do that, because you're spinning your wheels. Like, you're not getting any credit for physically doing those things unless you're genuinely doing them with love. And when you're out of love and you're just doing them, it's like the same thing as a stranger doing them. They can be like, oh, thank you. Does that mean that they feel more in love and they feel, cared for and validated and heard and seen? No, they don't feel any of that. What they feel is that you did the act, and that's it. And if the whole purpose of you doing it is to show your PMDD partner that you love them and you're trying to ignite feelings through your actions, but you're not doing it with love, they're not feeling it. So if you notice that you're starting to live separate lives, right? You're going your way, you're getting up for work, or you're staying at home with the kids, or you're going to school, whatever, and you're living separate lives and you don't even know what's going on in your PMDD partner's life, and then you're blaming it on them. Well, they don't tell me what's going on with them. And then your PMDD partner doesn't know what's going on with you, where it wasn't always like that. They knew what was going on. You talked all day, you text all day, you were very connected, you couldn't wait for them to come home. It is so easy for couples to drift apart when they're dealing with PMDD, and there's so much damage that has been done, where you start to see your PMDD partner differently, and then you start to question whether you even want to be with them. And all of these questions and these doubts cause you to drift apart and go in separate directions. Then you're like, I'm so busy with my day-to-day responsibilities. I have all these symptoms. I don't have time for this. Well, if you want to keep your PMDD relationship, you have to invest time to connect with them. And if damage has been done that is stopping you from doing that, then you need to invest in getting help. And the thing that I know is that whenever couples are talking about breaking up, there's a reason why every single time you and your PMDD partner may mention breaking up, but you know that you really don't want to break up, couples mention counseling. Well, let's go to counseling, right? You see it all in the movies. You see it in real life. So it's like, you know what it is that you need to do. You know that you need to get outside help. And with having PMDD, you need to get PMDD specialized help. So it's not just a matter of going to generalized therapy or generalized counseling that would only work during your follicular phase. Like I told you, when we're in our follicular phase, it works amazing. But when you're adding PMDD to it, and you're needing PMDD specific tools, and you're needing a specialist that actually knows what it feels like to have PMDD, you have to seek out PMDD specialized help for you and your PMDD partner. Because even if your PMDD partner doesn't have PMDD, right? So when I say, I want to clarify this too, because I did a live on the PMDD Collective's Instagram page, and a lot of the Q&As were, who is the PMDD partner? Is it the person that has PMDD, or is it not the person that has PMDD? When I say PMDD partner, it means those who suffer with PMDD and those who don't. Both partners are PMDD partners, right? One just actually suffers with PMDD, but guess what? The other one suffers with PMDD too, because it's a once you're connected, you're both suffering when PMDD comes. It's just different, right? It's different symptoms, it's different ways that it shows up, but you're both PMDD partners. So I'm going to give you some PMDD trauma transformational tools that you can do so that you can get back connected, but it is a process, right? When you're talking about you fell out of love with your PMDD partner, it's very important that you realize when that happened, right? You want to figure out when it happened so you can kind of put the pieces back together. What are the behaviors that happened that brought you to this place of not being connected? And then when you recognize what exactly happened, start the process of healing that, because until you heal what has hurt the both of you, not just you, what you heal has to be, or what you've gone through hurting has to heal before you can move on. You cannot move on in your PMDD relationship and go back to being in love if you haven't healed the things that hurt you. And what you don't uncover will not heal itself. You know that saying that says time heals all. That is not true. Time is just time. Time goes by, but if you've been covering up things and you don't really know what's going on with your PMDD partner, you know that they're not feeling connected, but you don't really know why, you start to assume, you start to make up stories in your mind, but until you really figure out what is really going on, that hurt is going to just get more and more cemented. Your heart is going to get harder. It's going to be easier for you to be roommates. It's going to be easier for you, for just, you just to be a passerby, like, hey, how you doing? Hey, how was your day? Like, you're going to find yourself like a robot saying the same things. And then once you have identified where there was that break and what happened, and you go through that healing process, you need to start setting goals together. Okay. With all of my private clients, we set goals for every week. When we have our sessions, we go over what is the goal of the session. Once the individual has gotten out everything that's gone on that week, we'll say, okay, now what are we going to work on this week? And I give you tools for each specific thing, but you have to start envisioning where you want your relationship to go. What do you want your relationship to look like? You obviously don't want it to look like it does, but you need to have a vision of, okay, I want our relationship to be more supportive, and here's what that looks like for me. I know me and my PMDD partner, I told you we have sessions every week. And this past week, one of the goals that he had was he's wanting us to work on intimacy more. And he's wanting us to work on intimacy because when you have a long distance PMDD relationship, intimacy is very important when you see each other and then also when you don't see each other. But that's our goal. So I make an action plan based off of that goal and say, okay, these are the things that I know that I need to do in order to be working on this. So when your vision is clear, you can make those concrete plans on how to spend your time and energy so you're not just spinning around thinking, I don't know what to do. I know I need to do something different, but I don't know what it is. I don't know what that looks like. I know I need tools, but I don't know what that means. And so a lot of the tools that I use with my private PMDD clients, they're all customized to what is specifically going on in your relationship. So if you join the PMDD Partner Support Group, then you come on there and we have the opportunity to do the live Q&As. I can help customize some of those for you. But it's just a matter of you taking the step, the first initial step to saying, you know what, I know that I need to get help. And I'm going to start reaching out so that I can get these tools and begin working on it, because it takes time. And the longer you wait to get started, the longer it's going to take for you to get back to that place again. So the next step is to resolve conflicts with your PMDD partner that have been going on month after month after month. A lot of times we're complaining about the same things, right? We're having the same arguments again and again and again. We need to resolve those. We need to get past those by listening to each other with an open mind. We're not judging. We're not blaming. We're not shaming. We're not getting defensive. And we need to come to conclusions that are going to satisfy both you and your PMDD partner. When you start to work those things out, I suggest it happens during your follicular phase. I suggest you have a session with me when you're in your good days, and then we implement those tools when you're going into PMDD. Because there's a timing to all of this, right? It's very strategic. It's not just, let me throw something out there and see if it works. There's a timing to it to make sure that your partner is able to receive it in a way that is actually going to work. Because there's no need in going into this if you're doing it in a way that is not going to work. So the next PMDD trauma transformational tool is let your PMDD partner know what they're doing right. So many times we're telling them what they're doing wrong, how they missed the mark, what they need to do better, how they don't support you enough in PMDD, how when you go into PMDD, they don't get this. Like, we're always really good at complaining when it comes to being like, okay, we need to communicate. Let me complain all these things. But let them know what you do appreciate so that they can do more of that. Praise them when they do something nice and kind and tell them how it makes you feel. I know for me, when my PMDD partner starts doing things to take things off of my plate, like doing homework with my daughter or coming in the house and putting things together that I know that I need to do, when he just takes the initiative to do those things and I don't have to ask him, I really appreciate them. So I don't just say, oh, thank you. I say, thanks, babe. I really appreciate that because I've been meaning to get to it. And I've just been so overwhelmed. I've been so busy and I haven't been able to. I've been so tired because I've been in PMDD that I haven't been able to. So I really appreciate that you took the initiative to do that, because now I can, focus on this, or I can get some rest. Like, when your PMDD partner hears from you the impact of their actions, what is that going to do? It's going to make them want to do even more. But you complaining to them that they're not doing certain things, it doesn't make them want to do anything more. They're just like, oh, well, she already thinks I'm a piece of crap. So what's the point? I've seen my partner get like that so many times when I've got into this blaming mode where I'm like, you need to do this and you need to do this and you need to do this. And it's kind of like, well, I guess I can't do anything right. And when your partner begins to think that they can't do anything right, they're throwing in the towel. You're not going to get anything else out of them. And yeah, good luck. Like, it doesn't produce any kind of results except for they're even more bitter. So the next step is you have to prioritize your PMDD relationship. Keeping your connection with your partner should be your most important task, job, duty, whatever you want to call it. So many times we're like, I put my kids first, and then you have nothing left for your partner. Well, then good luck getting any help with your kids from your partner. If you put them on the back burner and you're constantly neglecting them, they're the person that's supposed to help you. And even if they're not physically helping you, they're supposed to be there to support you, to listen to you, after you've taken care of the children. So I know this is like a big controversial topic of who comes first, the kids or the partner. You are supposed to be a united front with your PMDD partner. You all are supposed to be a team. If the team is not together, then how can you be effective with being parents to the child? It's like a basketball team or a football team or all the teams are putting in effort to win the other side. They have to do things as a team. You can't go out there on your own and do everything on your own and just expect your partner to just come in the game and show a little bit of effort when you're not working together with them. You're not giving them any attention, any affection, figuring out what's really going on with them. And it needs to be a mutual thing. And I know you may be thinking, well, my PMDD partner's not checking in with me, so why should I check in with them? Well, if nobody starts, then here's how we get into the roommate situation. PMDD comes around and you're needing all of these things, but yet you've not given them anything. for the past 2 weeks when you're in your follicular days. But all you've done is communicate, I'm about to go into PMDD, so remember, you can't do this, you can't do that, you need to give me space, or you need to give me more attention, you need to do this. Okay, you're making all these demands. What have you done for them? When you go into PMDD, think about what it is they need. Like, you have to be able to look at the other side. If you wouldn't starve your children, right, when you go into PMDD and you don't feel like making their food, right, we've all been there, where we don't feel like doing the little things for our children. We do them anyway. It's the same thing with your partner. Their food, the equivalent of food to them is love, affection, attention, validation, praise, intimacy. If you're choosing not to give that to them and saying, oh, it's because I'm in PMDD, would you tell you that to your child? Would you say, oh, I'm not going to feed you because I'm in PMDD, I don't feel like it? No. You find a way to get it done. You need to prioritize your relationship the same exact way. Stop putting your relationship so far down. I mean, some of you probably have your children, then your career, then your friends, then your family, then your partner. Like, your partner is so far down there, but you're expecting all of this effort, all of this support when you go into PMDD and you have all these symptoms. That's unrealistic. Think about right now, how do you prioritize your PMDD partner? What number are they on your list of things? What number are they? And I've been guilty of that before. I've put so many things ahead of my PMDD partner. It did not end well. Because when your partner doesn't feel validated and important to you, they start to want to get that validation somewhere else, or they just get really bitter and resentful towards you. One of those two things happen, and both of those are a recipe for disaster. And you can't blame your PMDD partner for the things that they do when they're not getting what it is that they need to sustain themselves in the relationship. It's like you always want to point out, well, they're not doing this and now they did this. Well, why did they do that? Think back on it. Why are they treating you like they're not being loving? Do they feel loved? Because what they have should pour out of them into you. So if your partner is not acting loving, they're not feeling loved. That's how you need to look at it. Instead of being bitter about it and saying, oh, this is so messed up that they're not doing these things for me. And I'm the one that has PMDD and I'm suffering and I have all these things on my plate and they're not helping me. Why aren't they helping you? Be honest with yourself. Ask yourself that. Why? When was the last time that they've done those things? Think about that. When is the last time they've been supportive towards you? And think about why. Why were they doing that? Was it out of duty or did they genuinely feel loved? And the next thing is, or the last tip I'm going to give you for today is to schedule time to connect with your PMDD partner every single week. A lot of my private clients use date night the same night that we have our sessions. So we'll have our sessions together and then they'll go on a date night, and that's their way of kind of talking about the hard things, but still turning it into something fun afterwards. So it's not super awkward. So many times people don't want to come and have sessions because they feel like it's going to be so awkward after the session. We're going to be we're going to be on opposite sides of the spectrum. Like, we're talking about hard things. What if we're not talking to each other after that? But when you're having these sessions and then you're going to do something fun, then you kind of look forward to it and you're giving your partner the understanding that, oh, we can talk about hard things. We can get through this and it's not a bad thing. So the next time that they have something to talk about, instead of avoiding it and burying it, they'll be more willing to be open with it. So right now, as I'm going into my dissertation phase, I have my proposal that I'm going to be defending with my university coming up. I am limiting my private clients, which is why I opened up my group program. So if you've not joined, you need to go to my website, www.inlovewithpmdd.com, and join my group program so that we can have sessions every single week and we can talk about the things that are going to make your PMDD relationship better and also cause you to stop doing damage and get your PMDD partner to really understand what PMDD is and how they can best serve you. So if you've not joined, go to my website to join. Make sure you share this podcast with all PMDD partners, because I know they're going to want to hear this, because they're going to want to hear these tools and these tips on what happens when you fall out of love with your PMDD partner, and for them to just know that that's not the end. Just because they've fallen out of love doesn't mean that they have to stay out of love. They can get back connected again. We got this. I hope this PMDD episode helped you and your partner in your struggles within your relationship. And if this is something that you know that you need help with and you need further support, individualized support, make sure you're going to inlovewithpmdd.com and you're getting those private sessions to really work through what you're going through in your relationship, specifically in regards to PMDD. And also, I want you to leave a 5-star written review on Apple Podcasts. What this does is it helps other PMDD sufferers and partners find this show that can help them get these free PMDD relationship tools. I remember what it felt like to not know that there were tools out there specifically for PMDD relationships. So I want to make sure that you are sharing these tools with others, share them on your social media, share them with people that you know that are also struggling in their PMDD relationships. Until next episode, this is Dr. Rose, your PMDD relationship psychotraumatologist. One more thing, I almost forgot. I now have the Fresh Start PMDD Partners workbook. What this workbook can do is, if you've had past traumatic experiences with your partner, past fights, past arguments, and they keep coming up every single month in PMDD, I created a Fresh Start workbook so that you can deal with all of the traumatic experiences that have happened in the past in PMDD rage and all of these things, so you can stop going through the same cycle again and again and again. So get that workbook. It comes with a video episode of the actual podcast that I recorded on getting a fresh start in your PMDD relationship, so you're not continuing the same cycle again and again and again. So make sure that you get that workbook. And if you need those individualized counseling sessions, you know where to go, inlovewithpmdd.com. Until next time, we got this. Love you.